Here we go. Slack. Here we go. Oh hey, I'm Michael and Atara. What's up, my friends? How you doing? Our invite button there. Here we go. Kev, what up? Been a minute. What's up? Let me make sure it's all going where it's supposed to. Hello, Michael. How you doing? Long time no see. First time no see, even. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna hit this start button. I think I always have to. Let's see. Okay, if I do that, then we will see what happens. This might boot everybody. We might need to re-invite. We'll see. Yeah, if I hit that, then that should have worked. Okay. Is it gonna boot everybody? It is. There we go. Okay. Indeed, it did in fact boot everybody. Okay, what do we got? We got okay, we've got Atara that we can bring up, and then that is going on the stream. Oh shoot, Darius made it. Very nice, very nice. Let's see, grab Red too. We gotta bring all our bots. What's up, Blueberry? How's it going? Okay, alright, so stream up, very good. Let's take a look at chat. Make sure that's in business. Does everything have the correct title? Let's go see. So YouTube does, very good, very good. I saw him here earlier, Kevin. What's up, Adam? How's it going? Maybe I gotta do it. Maybe I'll try it. Alright, I see you, Darius. The question is, did you account for getting him onto the main? Yeah, will he work in stage channels is the question. And then let's turn this up a little bit, make sure that that is going. I know that it won't show me the chat, which is going to be annoying, but pure experiment. We love it. Excellent, excellent. Okay, and then the other thing that I'll need to do, I think, is pull this over here. I do believe, because if I want to share, then I'm gonna need stuff. Tell him jam, and he starts the thing with what I can describe as Folger's music. So let me pull you up a little bit here. And then let me go to what up. You know, we'll take what we can get. Sick. You and me both, man. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we are playing a little bit of, let's see, I think we got network under looping right now. But let me swap that over into our... Okay, cool. She's live. Let me make sure. Cue myself. Okay, I can hear myself. Very good. True. I'm super glad that we are in Go land for the time being, at least. And then this will move there. That will move there. And then yeah, okay, cool. So welcome to episode. I think it is actually only 13. I think I got it wrong. Not sure what's happening. Perfect, Seth. Exactly what we were looking forward to. So, welcome to the weekly, the generic arena meetup that has technically a subtitle, but is mostly where we get together and check up on what everybody's been doing and what we need to do differently this week when we are doing stuff. If we're using agents to do it. The general plan I had in my head for this week would be, oh yeah, let me make sure, okay, so that's correct. Would be, we have some excellent updates from some community people, which I would happily let center stage. We got Kev with some stuff that he's been working on with regards to musicgen, and he just got a DGX Spark, which I'm sure he will be showing us along with our other conspicuous friend on stage here, Mr. Darius, which I will put on stream too. Oh yeah, very nice. I don't know if Rome is gonna be here. In fact, I'll ping him real quick and make sure and see if he's around. Yo, you wanna come through this afternoon? Is Baco in audience? I don't think he is. Let me poke him. We starting now, though. I'm not sure if you got the push. That's exactly, yeah. So we have a couple of, in case they aren't here, I don't unfortunately have a copy of either of those that I can show you yet, but I know Scriva is Rome's Android keyboard that he's sort of taken a different angle on with a couple of local models. And then Baco, yes, has Erasmus, as he's been mentioning for a couple of weeks now, that I think is gearing up for an upcoming release. And so with that, I invite us to section number 1, which is the what did you get done this week part of the episode, if you will. I will hand over the floor to you, Mr. Kevin, in just a second or two. But I was thinking outside because in terms of what I am getting done this week, my mandate for the week is to do user research. So I guess my prep question for you, Kev, would be: are you planning on like productizing this thing or selling it at all?
Well, I do kind of sell it. I mean, it's a pay what you want kind of business model at this point.
For sure.
But it's all open source stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the idea of just, I seem to be getting people that are willing to pay $20 for something that I just put up for free on Gumroad.
Many such cases, in fact, a highly viable open source business model, in my humble opinion. You can both open source it and then have a website where you just charge people $20 to buy it anyway. Because none of them are going to go to your GitHub repo and fight with NPM packages to self-host your install thing unless they are giant nerds and wouldn't be buying it anyway.
With musicians, like, they're not even going to go to GitHub releases.
Yeah.
That's why Gumroad's been kind of a godsend, because it's like people are used to doing VSTs through there. So it just kind of like...
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. So in my user research quest this week, basically like what I'm trying to do, essentially like my objective is essentially like the scenario that I'm trying to tackle essentially is, let's say we have like some amount of stakeholder needs that we think that there is a software solution to those needs of some kind that exists out there in the search space. And then presuming you are a person who can build software that solves problems for people, let's say you could build feature set and implementation A, B, and C. And like from a architectural perspective, they're all different approaches, but they're all compatible with your code base. They're equally like setting you up for success in the future. And they all like, as far as you can tell, like equally satisfying stakeholder needs. How do you decide whether to do A, B, or C? And then how do you figure out if you made the right choice? Would be my...
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, I just have my first Linux user last week.
Nice.
And like, you know, she did pay me $10 for the plugin, but
Absolutely.
Linux is notoriously bad at audio plugins.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was just kind of like doing the math. Like I did eventually get it working for her, but like was it really worth it for the $10 that I got? It's kind of like it's hard deciding like what feature you're she was having trouble like with prompt boxes. I guess
Hmm.
Bitwig doesn't let you take over keyboard focus or something. I don't know. I ended up fixing it, but it was like 16 hours of work.
Right. And so yeah, so you have one Linux user that paid you $10 that presumably like just asked you, was like, hey, like I could use this, can you implement it? And then you were like, yeah, sure, like hit me with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the process, so like that's currently like, at least, that's sort of the default approach that I understand, and then like the kind of approach that I'm trying to take to do like discovery and validation is like the build spacey one, where it's like launch, launch, measure, iterate. So now I'm trying to like zero in on like, okay, let's say we do a launch thing. Like, what's your iteration path and what's your measurement path? And I think your method is like super valid and the way most people approach it. But yeah, I've been like thinking super hard about that this week. So that's I guess like my prompt.
It's hard because you don't want to build a feature just for 1% of people, but
Well,
sometimes like my user base is that 1%, so like I have to kind of.
Well, yeah, and I think you should build the right feature for 1% of your user base if that's the right feature. What I'm worried about is my user base, my 1% asking for the wrong feature and then building it anyway, and then figuring that out way too late, and then having to pay down all the tech debt of building it, then unbuilding it, and taking that kind of approach. Vibe coding is to let them build what they want. True. Yeah, Max, it is. Do you have any? Was there anything in particular that you had on your mind? You wanna? You're welcome to come up if you got something pressing, Mister And then yeah, Baco, you are welcome to. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. So. We've got, yeah, this is sort of like section for what did you get done this week kind of thing. So it is, yes, there is some very exciting Claude Code stuff that we'll get into later, but patience is a virtue. Yeah, Baco, did you happen to catch the little prompt? Do you have anything that you use for feature, like, implementation validation, in terms of, like, figuring out not just can you build the thing, but which thing should you build?
Like planning,
Yeah.
more or less, it's usually a collaborative process for me because I want to be fairly in control of things. So I usually just ask it for a couple recommendations for any particular like implementation or feature that it's building, and then basically pick out the ones that I like.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more because yeah, like I was mentioning, my duty for this week is to do user research. So how I'm thinking of it is like, yeah, I could have an agent propose some implementations, and then I could go implement them. But how do I figure out which one of those is actually the right one that will, make my customers delighted with my application, which I think is the like evaluate it from an engineering perspective is a valid way to do that. But I also think there are like other methodologies to leading the answer to that. So I am that's my curiosity for the week. Mm.
I think maybe I have it easier than most people because I'm like the #1 user. So it's like
Yeah, I think that can be super valuable. Yeah, I assume we're all dog fooders here. Like, yeah, I know because it's like for me, um, there's like the classic engineer trap you can run into, right? Where you have a cool idea and you think it's gonna be cool, and then you go like on this big building thing, and then like a couple people were like, oh yeah, I'd pay for that, and then you build it, and then none of them like they're like, oh okay, cool, good job. So I'm like.
Game where you collect random numbers.
Right, right. And like, well, and then yeah, and so I'm like, okay, before I build the game where I collect random numbers, is there a way I can figure out if people actually want me to do that or not? So yeah, I
I
guess.
made the mistake of building it cross-platform before I had it.
Well, exactly, and it's a super common.
You can't switch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so yeah, I'm interested to in people's like process for that for the week essentially. But that's a good segue in like Kev. Do you got like a demo? Do you want to show us your kind of thing that you've been working on?
Yeah. You know, we always have audio issues here.
We always do.
But I can at least show you some of the stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to you take a couple minutes and like get it set up, and I can run down some of the interesting
It's not
news
letting
stuff.
me
Oh, do I need to
share
let
screen.
you? Yeah, you're good. Let's
I
do
think the
that.
trick was that you share window.
Um, yes, you want to share the specific window because that should give you the audio out of it, if I'm not mistaken.
My laptop's gonna get so sweaty.
I believe.
I'm just booting up Ableton right now.
Nice. So what Kevin's setting up is his Discord bot called Darius that is wired up. I believe you, man.
We're doing the Discord bot.
Or I don't know. We can do what you want to do, man. Like
That's
I'm.
on you, dude. Explanation point.
Jam. All
So
right.
I can show you kind of what the. I mean, it's probably gonna be. Oh yeah, we got our Folgers music right now.
Nice. Nice. Okay, Claude
I know
can.
how to volume it.
Uh,
Can you volume this?
yes. I wonder if that. You right click him and then change his volume. I turned it down on my side, but I don't know if I can turn it down for you guys. Someone murder it. Okay, let me mute it real quick here. Yeah, let me mute him. Okay, should be muted. Okay, so right click that little Darius and then turn his volume down. I don't know why I can't do that.
Volume down.
Interesting. Yeah, you could turn it down on your side if you want, or I can do it on
I
mine.
think that's part of the API.
Interesting.
Oh, he doesn't have a volume control. Okay. This is gonna get tricky. Basically, what I'm gonna do is tell him to turn up his volume.
Oh wait, I need to server mute him. There we go. My bad, my bad. Sorry, I had to do the one that works for you guys. Okay, he's currently muted. But can everybody hear okay again?
It's real loud.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Basically, this is just using the Hug interface space, and it's going into the Discord bot, and then the MCP server can talk to it.
Okay.
But can you see my?
Yeah, we see you, or we what we see is currently just the Claude window. So if that's what you're trying to show, then we gotcha.
Yeah. So then I can just tell him stuff like this. Wow, it's really running slow.
Center it up.
Basically, the way Magenta RT works is when you fine tune, it does this. It creates these numpy files, numpy. I never know how to pronounce it.
NumPy, yeah.
Yeah, but it like learns from the fine tune distribution, and so it creates these 5 centroid sliders. So like for each fine tune, it's a different centroid. Like the centroids do different things. Like on one person's, it was centroid 5 was the vocal chops. It learned that before it even starts training. So I think if you unmute him, you're gonna hear
Cool.
line lapse.
Okay, cool. So yes, prepare to either prepare your user volumes or your mute buttons if you need them, friends. But
Yeah,
I've got them.
we need to figure out the volume situation on them.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you can always right click.
It's skipping here.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we don't really worry about this.
The live demo, baby. The live demo. I love it.
It's a lot of things running on my little laptop.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's fine. Is this running on your laptop, or you got it in the cloud somewhere? Nice,
The
nice.
Discord bot's running on my laptop. Magenta is actually running in a Hugging Face space. And I think I showed you guys that before.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've seen it.
It's a little HTML web tester. And that runs just fine, but I don't know why Discord's been like
Yeah,
audio through Discord.
it's all.
I,
It is, yeah. Yeah, I guess my inquiry would be, A, was there anything cool you learned about DGX Spark while you were putting it together? And then B, was there anything you learned about just like what kind of approaches you would take to do when you're working with things like local models and audio and fine tuning? Like in terms of process improvements, was there anything there? And then, yeah.
I love me the DGX Spark, but it's very much for a specific use case. Like
Hmm.
it's not, at least for audio models, it's not really for generation. It's real slow at that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's great for fine tuning. Like the other day, I had an audio craft model training while I had a stable audio model training.
Hmm.
And it was up over 100 gigabytes of VRAM. And it was doing just fine. So it's like I can really like iterate quickly. And so yeah, now I've started incorporating all these fine tunes into the Airy UI, which
Hmm.
for those who don't know, that's a plugin that uses musicgen, stable audio, melody flow, which is also an audio craft model, and magenta is also inside there.
Nice.
But it's basically all just about iterating on input audio rather than generating a whole song for you. It's about
Mhm.
creating samples.
Right. So the
Yeah, so I've got just a ton of Gary models and Jerry models now to play with.
yeah,
It's
I'm.
fun too
Hmm.
because the VST lets me very quickly iterate on and figure out if I've overfit or not.
Interesting.
I can just immediately throw it up on Hugging Face and then it's inside the VST.
Huh. Yeah, you gotta. Is there like a way you can show us
Yeah,
what
let me
kind of?
pull
Yeah,
up.
yeah, for sure.
Let me pull up the Ableton. Screw Darius.
Well, yeah, because I'm mostly interested. It's like, okay, if I were to invest in a Spark, it sounds like your use case for it is less like, running like a scalable model long term for a product. It's more like, hey, I got a box kind of sitting next to me now, and if I want to like try out an experiment real quick, then I can just rig it up on the Spark and see how it would sound. Is that kind of? Um,
Basically, for people that have been trying to fine tune music models, it's always been a nightmare because you got to go to like run pod and you're sitting there like burning money, and so like you're not really feeling like you can experiment with it. And so now I can just kind of like YOLO these training runs where I can tweak things that like I would have been anxious to tweak if I was wasting credits. So it's like it's really teaching me like a lot more about the guts of like how you fine tune these music models properly, because there's not really any documentation about how to do it right. So it's like, yeah, it's here, let me pull up. I guess I got to stop sharing.
Getting a G10. Yeah, yeah, I'm curious primarily for because it sounds like if you were to put it into like the vibe code frame, I could see having a spark like on the side of the desk to like sort of rapidly drop in. Is it pretty speedy when you're trying to train a model on it?
It's not fast at training a model, but like the good news is that it's not on your computer, so it's not like it's like slowing down. It looks like we're getting this sharing the Ableton window too.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
But yeah, like it's not slowing down your main machine while you're running training
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, so you could just have it go
overnight or like while you're in the middle of other stuff.
Interesting.
Like right now, I actually am running a musicgen large. But I think my laptop is just like, it's not affected by the training. My laptop just sucks.
Right, right. No, I got you. No, that's quite, yeah, that's an interesting, yeah, I'm curious to see how that like having the Spark kind of evolves over time. Um,
Yeah.
because I'm curious to see kind of how that ends up fitting into the full workflow. Because I know at least like most of us probably like you may or may not end up getting into model training on the side, but there are a lot of there's a lot of components that goes into good software. Things like user research or training a model may at some point be part of everybody's workflow here. So I'm interested
Yeah.
in kind of what fits when for people essentially, so I can remember it later.
I'm curious actually. Can you see my screen right now?
We can see Gary for
Can you see
Juice,
the window?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're gonna find out if it is audio.
String volume.
Can you hear that?
We can not, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. That's just
Womp
a nightmare. Like you can't share. But anyway, like so I have the option now where I can just pull up these fine tunes and just immediately hit my dice button and just see
nice.
kind of what's going on.
Spits out a. Oh yeah, so that could be cool with the Spark, right? You just find a cool model, you drop it on your Spark, you spit out a couple samples, like take a listen. Is that any good? Oh no, dump it. Like I could see that being kind of.
Yeah, and it's nice too because I can use the same data set for musicgen and stable audio at the same time. So I could just be iterating.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I got a lot of these musicgen models are bad, but
Right.
That's part of the fun.
Well, yeah, I think if you're.
I just started training on keygen music because like, come on, it's always bass.
Sure. Well, yeah, no. So I think it sounds like to me, at least, like Spark is could in theory be worth it if it's valuable to you to be able to have like a tight iteration loop. If what you're doing is, especially when it comes to fine tuning, going to involve like community-based open source models or data sets, so you can sort of like just drop stuff in and experiment with it and then forget about it and just let it cook till it's done. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I can also use it for larger models.
Sure.
Like I use it for Magenta. Like for Magenta, you need 40 gigabytes of GPU RAM.
Right.
And the Spark won't hit real-time generation with that, but I just made my VST doesn't care about that. They're just one-shot generations with it.
Well, yeah.
So you're just waiting a little longer,
Well, yeah, and then the question, at least for me, the question for that would be like, okay, do I want to bother with a Spark in that case, or do I just want to like if I'm or like is that better suited for a cloud box or RunPod or something like that? But it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think
the like having Spark sitting next to your desk so you can just kind of like sprinkle stuff in and see what happens does sound like a process improvement to me.
Yeah, it's pretty glorious, and I do think like other people would have more fun with LLM generation with it because you can do all that FP4 stuff.
Sure.
It, like there's just a huge bottleneck with music models where like, it's like you can't really optimize it any further, but you can definitely optimize just text-based LLMs.
Yeah, I might check in with Ahmad. I know he also recently got a DGX and is very into the text-based models. So maybe there's some more angles to play there. But it sounds. I'm glad you got something going. Is there any last bits or demo-y stuff that you wanted to touch on before we handed it off to Mr.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. I guess more on the what I got done this week is this is now also just a standalone plugin. Like you don't need Ableton or GarageBand anymore. You can just drag audio straight into the standalone.
Oh, cool! So drag and drop just onto the VST.
Yeah, like
just drop.
I
it
just
here.
did that just now. I don't know if you could still see the window because Discord.
We can see
Like,
it. Yeah.
can you
We're
see
good.
me selecting the area?
Yeah. I don't know about selecting the area, but we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a little window that popped up that let me choose. Like, it was a long audio file.
Uh-huh. Oh, let you cut
And
it
you
right
want your
there.
input audio to be 30. Yeah, you want your audio to be 30
Nice.
seconds. So yeah, it's just now you just drag straight from a system folder, and now I got that input audio, and I can send it to Gary.
Right, and it's so interesting to me where it's like, okay, the intuitive thing to do here is because I know you want 15 seconds of continuation rather than a giant file, and most people will have giant files. I should probably make a thing that auto snips down to 15, and it's like, how do you find all of those for your product? Is like where my brain is, where it's like, oh, this
What do
is
you mean?
where it's like you have a user or you have a UX flow. You have something your user's doing with your
Yeah.
app, and you have this like, hey, there's an adjustment to the way that I could present this to my user that will like massively increase or like massively decrease the like annoying crap they have to do, right? Where it's like, oh, it would be
Yeah.
easier if I could drag and drop and it would auto cut, right? Um,
Yeah,
so that's the kind of
exactly.
thing I've
Well,
been
and like
doing.
in this case, it was for someone who uses Audacity
Mm-hmm.
to make music, which like I don't know why you would torture yourself that way,
So
but
many do though. So many do.
like
Right.
the cool part is I realized Audacity is like you can do plugins in there, but the UX is horrible. So
Sure.
like, why not make the standalone, and then now it works for people who don't even have a DAW.
Yeah, was that an idea that you just sort of came up with, or did your Audacity guy like request to you to do that?
No, he immediately wanted to be able to play with it inside Audacity because that's his
Sure.
quote unquote DAW.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to figure out ways to do it, and the Juice framework already builds a standalone.
Right.
Because normally the way that we get input audio for the models is you just press play in Ableton and it starts recording, which is a really nice UX if you
Right,
have a
yeah.
DAW. But
But if you don't, then
you
yeah.
can't just like press play on the computer. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was just kind of building off that idea.
Nice. No, well, that is super. So yeah, like that's what I'm interested in doing with my like user research week is like hunting for those spots in my product where it's like, oh, once I have the user of a weird different way that does this, the UX for this thing is going to get way better if I make these small adjustments, and it's like each software product has like some number of those that exists inside it, and at least for me it's like, okay, how do I structure my user research such that what I get out of it is all of those things and what order I should fix them in, basically.
Yeah.
Rome, what up? You made it. Sweet.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Well, thank you for showing stuff. Is there anything that you want to get done this week that we should hassle you as to whether you got it done next week? That was my other.
Yeah, I will. I'll be updating the mobile apps to have
Okay.
all these fine tunes inside them.
Awesome.
I actually just got to push that tonight, like for iOS at least.
Sweet.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
it's always important to me that like there's a version of this that you can just do on your phone.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I
totally.
named it Gary for beatbox because like I do these shitty little
Right,
beatboxes.
yeah.
And like Gary will just like kind of absorb your beatbox and turn it into like a thick little drum sample.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
No, I got you. Cool. Well, yes, we will expect some mobile apps and see what you got next week. And then, yeah, I will open the floor to I will say hi to Roma. I'm glad you made it, and I got a slot for you to show us your keyboard. What's up, man?
Cool, man.
But I do want to offer to Baco. Baco, what did you get done this week?
And one of those weekends where you just like code for 48 hours straight and don't stop.
Many such cases.
And I got the core framework for Erasmus reworked. I overcomplicated the original design. It was using FSMs. There was lots of things that were crazy and didn't make any sense.
Right.
Well, I mean, it made sense, but it was just like way overly convoluted for what I was actually trying to use it for. And I realized that I'm not trying to build an agent initially right off the hop. I'm just trying to, God damn it, go away. I'm just trying to. Sorry, I'm gonna mute that just in case.
Yeah,
I was thinking that I was trying to build an agent framework, but what I'm really doing is I'm trying to build the tools for an agent framework first. So I really focus on just like having sequentially processed things and individual tooling that like does one thing and inputs, takes a particular input, takes a particular output. Spent a little bit of time figuring out like a text-based interface that allows it to like interface with JSON as well as with like text inputs and outputs, because like all this shit is prompts at the end of the day.
Sure, yeah.
So making sure that it works with both is important. And I came up with this. So this is Erasmus. Erasmus is basically like a tooling platform. More or less, it has composable components that allow you. I want to record this. Fuck.
Yeah, I can shoot you a recording afterwards. You should be fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Erasmus. It's made up of composable components. Each component does like only one thing, and then that's it. So you're able to mix and match them. It provides them as services. So individually, you can run them like a single thing on its own if you want. If you only need to like get a model response or something like that, it will work like that. If you want to do more complex things, you can run the pipelines. So pipelines have ingesters that will like take in things like here, document ingester, and then we'll do like that. And then you can do some kind of processing on it. So you can do the generators are LLMs, AI. Anything AI is in the generators. So they're all like art, image generation, narration, text to speech, text to video, blah, blah, blah.
Very interesting.
And all of these work, by the way. And then there's processors. So here I want to do, actually I don't want to do a processor. I want to do markdown to HTML. And then tools. So formatters output things. And then the tools like HTML viewer. So then when I run this, for input, mermaid demo. And then it will turn this document that I had into an HTML website for me.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so like it uses both AI tools as well as non-AI tools, so that you can compose them as you need them, and then it provides it as an API so that your agents can use them. And it uses a message protocol because fuck MCP.
Extremely based, unimaginably based. We do have some news about that this week too, actually.
Yeah, so I use a message protocol with types, with meme types as like the definers of what the inputs and outputs are to be able to allocate them correctly. And then you can save those pipelines, and then they can go into like composable different things. So it does a lot of stuff. So I log into my GitHub.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we'll go to the code review. Let's go to. Oops.
So I take it your or is this a? Are you using this? Are you so presumably dog fooding? Presumably part of the software engineering process, and then presumably like a something that you will plan to sell to other people doing software engineering. Yeah.
So what my idea is for it right now is to basically build this as a platform for people to build on. So it uses Greeble. I guess this is a good time to show Greeble.
Yes, I
Greeble's my open source HTMX platform, or not platform, component library. So like you can build cool interfaces with it, and it's pretty easy to use, and the AIs know how to use it pretty well. So let's try this again. Oh, there must be something wrong with my fetcher. I guess that's not going to work for now, but I can show you the apps. So it makes stuff like this. So this is SEO intelligence tracker. Basically, what it'll do is you run an audit on it.
Yo, are we shorting,
and then it will
shorting taco time or what?
Let
go.
This is just some like random examples, but it basically it pulls the information, gets citations, gives you like scores, and then like a little bit of a recommendation or whatever. Awesome. This is all made with Greeble. Also has a nice dark mode that's not like blinding like 1,000 suns.
Very good.
Another good one is like this is Silba. So this is a translation module. It does text to audio, audio to text in both directions, and does it in like 74 languages or something like that. Also, if you're a developer doing any kind of I18N file translations, it just takes the file and then automatically translates them as well. So yeah. But it's like super easy to compose. So my idea is to basically like have Erasmus as like a place where you can come, use some tools. It has AI crap, so if you need to like generate art or whatever, Like you can just come in here and be like, oh, I need a picture. So be like, let's make a picture, and I want a duck with a fedora.
As is tradition.
Because that's
tradition.
always as is tradition. I always ask for a duck with a fedora for my first picture from any AR model.
It is the song of Baco's people. Absolutely. Nice.
Yeah, this is all Python.
Very nice.
Use shadcn. This project is too good for this CSS. Okay, whatever, man. Yeah, so that was a really ugly picture, but but it all works, or not all works. It's an alpha. I'm still working on it, but this is what I made. And yeah, so like the idea is to have like people to be able to build their own apps, and then like I want a WYSIWYG builder with the HTMX thing, because this doesn't use any state or anything. It's just basically making calls to the back end, and the back end tracks all the stuff in the pipeline. And then so the front end is really simple, so you can make really simple front ends. And then like basically have it as like here, try and sell your tools, and then you can. We'll take like 5% or whatever, or however much is reasonable. Not 30 fucking %. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, and so that's where that's why my brain is like terminally user brained this week, where it's like, okay, there is a number that I should pick. There is a correct number in here somewhere. How do I even figure that out? Like, what is the process to go through to figure out what that number is actually supposed to be? Considering. I have relatively high conviction that for each of these things there is a at least more correct than the other one's answer, or at least adequately correct, and then the process of figuring.
And also using shadcn's Tailwind. I basically modeled it after it. I wanted it as a Python first library, so Python developers can have something like shadcn because we don't.
Yeah. Do you?
So
have
that's
like
why I'm using it.
Did you?
Oh yeah, Greeble's open source, so you can fuck around with it if you want.
And then yeah, I think that other Erasmus.
And Erasmus is planned to be open source, but I want to get the platform built and then start building something on top of it first, so I have a little bit of a moat. But it will go open source.
Beautiful, I love it. Yeah, that old one's worth a look, especially if one's into the multi-agent orchestrator space. I was a big. I found it particularly interesting. Yet I think I'm in agreement with you when maybe like chain sequential finite state machines is maybe a little bit of overkill, but it was really interesting.
It's just not necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, it will be later, but not right now.
Right. No, I'm totally right there with you. I think that's a solid call. And it's interesting, so in terms of how you figured that out, of like, oh yeah, okay, I've over-engineered this, like these features are not necessary. Is there any, like, did you validate that, or is that just like sort of a thing where you're like, okay, I've sort of tried to ship this thing for long enough where it's like, okay, it's kind of clear that this is what's going on?
The main problem was I couldn't get my team to work with it. So other devs wouldn't touch it because it was too complicated to onboard. And then it took me like a good 2 months of sitting with that and like coming to terms with me over engineering it before I let it go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's why. Yeah, that's my user research thing is like trying to like, yes, I want to avoid losing time, et cetera, but it's like at a certain point, like you consider yourself, no matter how hard you try, you consider yourself past the MVP stage. So if it turns out that you've been making the wrong decisions all along, it'll be really hard to like, pivot and like change things, even if like that's what you actually need to do, according to whatever it is that's your kind of bellwether for that.
Yeah, more or less. Like I like to say that I'm not precious about my own work and stuff like that, but like I was pretty proud of of that Erasmus, and it took me. I wasted way more time just because of my own ego. So like being able to get over that faster is better. Totally. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mr. Rome, I will open the floor up for you. But Baco, actually, is there anything that you wanted to commit to getting done next week's, in case you wanted a little slot for accountability? Is there anything we should expect?
Oh, get my Synapsys testnet up and running.
Sweet, cool. Well, yeah, you'll have to come back next week and show us what you got on that. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, time flies, dude. Yeah, Rome, what you got? What did you get done this week? If you're there, presumably he is. I'll buy him a little bit of time though by sharing the remainder.
Actually, I changed my response.
Okay. See?
Because Synapses that's really hard to do.
Right.
I get Erasmus in a state where I can beta test it and start letting people use it.
There you go. Yeah, that looks like it's almost there. So, well, yeah, Rome, feel free to jump in once you're back at the computer and let me know.
Yeah, I'm back.
There we go. Perfect timing. Sweet. Yeah, what'd you get done this week, man? What do you got?
So I mean, I mentioned it to you, but before for the audience, been working on a third-party keyboard for iOS, and we just released it on test flight this week. So yeah, I thought that first of all, show of hands, who's on iOS here?
Mm-hmm. Not me. I'm an Android person. Anybody?
I know you are.
Yeah, Kev's shipping a test flight too, so it looks like we got Kev.
Anyway, so I guess not that many, but I think we can still proceed to a little demo if you guys want. The concept should be doable in Android. It's just, unfortunately, when I looked at the stats, it looks like most smartphone users are on iOS than they are on Android, right? And it's not me saying it; it's the stats, right?
Yes.
So let me just get this ready. But the concept is pretty simple, right? As you all have been using AI for a while now, probably a couple of years. And the thing that always jumped at me in my framework, in my workflow, is like how when you're on mobile, you're always jumping out and of apps and copy pasting stuff like into ChatGPT, out of ChatGPT and Perplexity and whatnot. And my thought was, okay, like because not all apps have AI features yet. So my thought was, okay, what if you could have AI directly in your keyboard that will help you, like you just prompt it and you can use it to insert directly the text, right? So that's what 6 months ago. And it's actually quite hard to build because Apple, yes, allows you to do third-party keyboard, but they don't give you the keyboard. You have to rebuild it entirely yourself. By entirely, I mean every single key. You have to place them, make sure that they look native, like all this stuff, plus the typing experience. Yeah, it's horrible. But anyway, it got done. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, please.
Here we go. I'm on mobile conveniently.
Beautiful.
Let me know if all good.
Let's see. Yes, I see you. I see a phone.
Perfect. All right. So let's do this. So basically, it's pretty simple. You just toggle it right here. As you can see, it looks like any normal keyboard. But if you come and you click here, you have an AI chat that's actually embedded inside. So if I say hello, it will process this screen. You can basically toggle it to maximize it how deep you want to be, right? But the cool thing and the cool features which I always wanted is you see this little insert button. You can just click and it will insert wherever you are, right? So then you can use it to go. So let's say we go into X, right? And then you take like whatever, any random tweet. You're like, okay, this one is funny. You can just go and you say, okay, I just want to see, okay, what can I reply on this? And then you can go, what would be? This one you still have to copy paste because iOS doesn't allow you to like look at the screen. So we're trying to find workarounds. So I can just say, like, what should I reply to this? So for now, you still have to copy paste, which is why we're still in beta. But yeah, that's kind. So you could do this. Okay, and then let's.
I would think approach for that you might be able to route that through shortcuts, but yeah, implementation detail.
Yeah, it's always like this because in Mac you have the accessibility API you could play around with that gives you access to the screen. They don't offer that on iOS.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, the only thing you can work with is anywhere you have a cursor, you can read, like if let's say you're typing, like here on the tweet, you have a cursor that's like blinking. If there was any text before the cursor, you can access it programmatically, but you can't access it without you can't access the rest of the screen. But as you can see here, like AI like said, okay, let's say this reply. What you can do is just select the part and just insert it, and then you're good to post.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds fairly convenient. Was there yeah, I guess my interests in that being primarily, was there anything that you discovered workflow wise that was like quite helpful, considering you're building like a system level application on iOS? I feel like that's
Yeah.
not somewhere we go every day. So did you find anything that was particularly helpful about like that sort of area of development?
You mean as in the building part of it,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
as the app, or the using part of the app?
Primarily, or either or, but I'm primarily interested in the building part of it, just because like I may have to do that someday. So if there's something I should know about, then that would be what I want to know about. Yeah.
I think the interesting part is so for example for the keyboard I need to show you the here. So basically, this is the companion app that goes with the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So with the keyboard, with anything that you do system level, you still need something that will be installed and then that will help with the configuration. So as you can see, this one you can add your languages. Like for now, we support like English, French, Spanish, and Korean,
Mm-hmm.
just because statistically these are like the Korean because the guy helping me with the UI is Korean,
There you
so
go.
he just
Yeah.
wanted that. But Spanish, English, French is probably covering most of the topics. Obviously, Chinese is a big missing one, but we'll see how to add that. It's actually more complicated than it sounds. But you still need, my point is, you need this companion app to be there in order for the keyboard to have something to refer to. It's kind of this thing stores like all the user settings and whatnot because the keyboard itself doesn't have a state or a memory, right? So it needs a companion app to do that for it. To kind of every time it starts fresh. So it's like when it starts, it doesn't know anything. So it will load all the settings directly from the companion app every time. So
Interesting.
that's how it knows here to which languages to have and to display
Right.
these kind of things.
Okay, so the key with iOS is that you're gonna need a sidecar for config. That's what it sounds like if you're working
Yeah,
system level.
yeah, yeah. If you're doing anything that is like system level, these kind of things, the thing that we are trying to do is for now this little chat, as you can see, like is kind of you have a way to reply to revert to where you were and look at like all the chat interactions. We're thinking about should this be a more normal chat UI to kind of check your history of your chats if you wanted to go back and reread something that you have interacted with the AI. But where I found this more interesting is as we were building this, thinking about all these use cases, right? For example, my dev, what he was doing, the UI guy I'm collabing with, he was, for example, using this to ask stuff when he was reading articles online, right? So it's not somewhere where you would usually use a keyboard, but as he was reading an article on the browser, he would pop open the keyboard and just basically,
Interesting. Yeah.
without leaving the article, just ask something about it, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, yeah, no, it's super interesting. I was about to ask, like, okay, if you have a decision you're trying to make with regards to like, okay, should we make a little chat widget or whatever? Like, how are you planning on making that decision?
You mean in this one? So this one, I'm not doing a chat widget. We're gonna do just a display of like just a chat UI to allow you to review, but it will be read only. It's not the goal is not like to kind of come. Maybe it could be an additional feature. It depends again on who in the beta user team. So what we've done just on this. So if you guys, I'll post the test flight link if in case
Yeah.
anyone wants to use it. But what we've done here is, as you can see, we've done a feedback board and a feature request board, right? And the idea of this is as we add more user to test flight, landing page is being finalized this week. So I'll do a proper launch. So consider this a preview for the group.
Beautiful.
But the idea of this is like, okay, you guys come in, you say it's directly in the keyboard. So if you go like where we were, you can go here. Let's say you find a bug or something. If you go here, you just say submit feedback, and it will take you to this page. And then you can say, okay, like I want to, sorry, of course. Here we go. Create. And then you say, here, this is what I want. Or let's say you come back and you go, okay, I like the fact that someone has said, oh, would be really cool if you could edit the model system prompt to tailor your needs, personality, writing style, blah, blah, blah. You can come in and upvote this, right? Which will then help us prioritize based on what user actually really want rather than what I think is good.
Well, I will say, I think what the user asks for, what you think is good, and what the user actually wants, and the feature that belongs in your product long term are all four different things, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure,
But
for sure.
but yeah, I very much like the is this so I'm presuming like the bug report button or feature request button in the app, and then that sort of just pipes directly into this thing.
Correct.
Nice.
Yes. So the way, and this is open source by the way. I mean, it's a free plan that you can use. Is pretty generous. I wanted to kind of, and also the other thing that comes into building any sort of AI product is as you go along, you know, it's easy to kind of build and plug the API, but actually, and you know about this more than anyone, adding all the telemetry and actually tracking what's happening, etc., is actually not trivial. So that's where like started using LangFuse, which I would highly recommend to everyone. It's really good. And as you can see, I mean, happy to show you what's happening on the back end. But then you can go and you can basically go and you get a dashboard of, sorry, like all the completions. Like you can say, okay, past 90 days, how many traces, how much does the model cost? We're using DeepSeek for now for cost efficiency. How much does it cost per session? And then how much was tracked, cost by model, blah, blah,
And
blah.
how did you set
And then
up
what you
that?
can do,
Oh,
just
LangFuse.
LangFuse.
Oh,
So
nice, nice. Yeah.
yes, it's LangFuse. So the way you do it is my backend is entirely in, I mean, you can do your backend in whatever you want. My backend is entirely in Python. And at the backend level, I use Light LLM in order to pipe the request to the DeepSeek API through the Light LLM proxy. And inside Light LLM, they have a LangFuse integration. So that way you can just toggle it. You put your app key and your whatever, what they give you as credentials. And then once the request goes through, Light LLM sends all the inputs and outputs to LangFuse for tracking.
Interesting. Okay, so they have a built-in integration with Light LLM, and you're mostly leveraging that to get all the data out of it.
Correct.
Nice.
And what's cool about it is you can then go and, which is very interesting for debug, right? For example, like here, the one we just did here, as you can see, like, okay, let's maximize it. Like this one, okay, like what do you do, etc. You can kind of go directly here and say, okay, like you can see the system prompt, for example, like you can have a look, you can see the system prompt, what the user has put, what's the output, the metadata, etc. Like all of it.
Yeah, yeah, no, well, yeah, I am, it is very, yeah, no, it's super interesting in that, okay, if you're deploying with Light LLM and then you do the Lang-based integration and then you also have customer feedback, then you have a decent data pool where you have a couple of like correlatable values. So you could have like a user request, and then you can see the corresponding telemetry, like pre and post implementation.
Yes,
Yeah, which I think is like
correct.
that's so, or like that general approach is sort of how I'm thinking about structuring user data collection. In that, okay, like I need to make it to some KPIs, and then I need like a set of correlations I can measure that will sort of walk me from feature implemented over to KPI goes up. Essentially, is sort of like how I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, and also the reason we did this is I chose to do this is for two things. One is pricing. To be very clear, I mean you need to know now that we're going to test flight and I'm ramping up the number of users. For now is like basically friends and family, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm ramping up the number of users, then basically you will see how your app behaves, but also where is the cost going, right?
Yeah.
And that from that I'll be able to kind of work out based on the margin that I want to take, like how much plus whatever Apple takes on sales, which is like ginormous, you can kind of figure out where you should put your price point. I think anyone that's building an AI app without going through this length fuse thing where you know exactly your cost, it's a bit of a recipe for disaster, in the sense of like you can end up with thinking, oh, I can price my app 9.99, it will be okay, and then you have this guy that comes in and he does 1,000 requests a day, and you end up blowing your API cost, your 9.99, just by with API costs with one guy. You see what I mean? Like that's kind of why I thought about it this way.
Yeah, no, I think that's yeah, no, I totally agree with the sentiment of like if you're not measuring cost and you're building like a traditional SaaS where you just sort of like YOLO and then like figure it out all out later and assume that it'll work out, and your app involves AI inference that is like um, an extremely variable cost and one of the most important things to your bottom line. So if you aren't paying attention to it, then yeah, I totally agree that you are in for a world of hurt. And it sounds like yeah,
Yeah.
Langfuse is a way to do that. There are a bunch of ways to do that, but I
Yeah, of
like
course.
that this
Like
is.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
there are 20 ways. I just liked LangFuse because it was easy to set up.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Totally.
easy to kind of integrate with like the framework with which I was building. I
Exactly.
built with
Yeah.
Pydantic AI. So it was like, it was just all of it just plugged well, gelled well together. And also on top of this, in order to kind of further prevent, you have a Redis cache that is working inside the server that kind of tracks per user how many requests, and it will kind of rate limit if I start seeing, just as a safety precaution, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I see a guy just consistently sending 300 requests a day, which, I mean, you can argue that's not a lot, but if you think about it from a where this is living, it's in a keyboard. Like, yes, you can be on your phone all day, but that won't be like most of my users, I think. So that's where the rate limit will just pop up a warning on my end to tell me, hey, this guy just crossed the 300 messages per day limit, and then I can then reach out to this guy and say, hey, like, can you run me through your workflow?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
understand a bit
Exactly.
more
Exactly.
what your usage is, etc. Like, not block him, but you just
No. No.
so
Absolutely
he
not.
knows that someone's watching.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, at least, like yeah, that or like the last thing I would do is block that guy. I want to know, I want to know everything about what that guy is doing, and like, because like clearly what he's found is like a feature or use case for my app that none of my other users have found and that I haven't thought of. So
Exactly.
I'm the outlier is yes, like that will protect you cost wise, but it'll also tell you like is my user doing something completely unexpected and different from what it is that I built this app intending them to do on it? Which I
Exactly.
think is
Yes, that's
totally,
exactly the
yeah,
case.
yeah, totally a valid thing. Sweet. Is there anything you want to get done
Cool.
next week that we should expect that you would like some accountability help with? Is there anything you want to come through?
Landing page is something that is being worked on. I think
Beautiful.
I did the first version of it to kind of, because the thing is like I just spent 20 minutes kind of running through for you, but obviously attention span, thank you TikTok, is like probably
You got
down to
30
like two
seconds in your
seconds.
head. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm working on a way, and I've been iterating quite a lot on it, is how can you make a landing page so that when you look at it for the first 30 seconds, you get it instantly and it gets you to kind of want to try it out.
Yeah, I had there was a recent post on X from the guys over at Open Code where Dax's take on it is that you should not have a landing page. What you should have is similar to ChatGPT. You type in the URL and now you are in the app using it, which I think is an interesting approach. Like works for some
It
things.
is when you have a web app, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
But I'm wondering,
Obviously,
is there
like
a
all
principle
these.
there? Yeah, it's sort
Yeah,
of.
I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. It's like Naval just said recently. He said UI is pre-AI, which I kind of agree with.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you see what I mean? But also, like everything, it's a matter of context.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, yes, you can generalize, and I love that these guys are kind of just posting things like these that are like, ha, these guys are so smart on Twitter and whatever. But when you think about it a bit more and looking at your use case, it depends on your user base, right? Like you, what you're building, and if you go to an enterprise thing, you still want the guy from procurement to kind of understand and have somewhere to look at the details, right? You
Yeah.
can't expect everyone to be your user.
No, exactly. No, I totally. I think that is yeah. There's and that's why like the user research step for me is like becoming so interesting, because it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like the a KPI that I can optimize for is like revenue or uptime or something, but you can definitely have you'll have, you know, different ICPs at different points in the sales process, and you do need to be able to like have your app be able to communicate to all of the ICPs that the feature set for the user that you have targeted is the like the best one on the market for that user, and then you know, construct both your features and your UI and your landing page or marketing or whatever. The goal being like you need to communicate to every person in this chain in the most effective way, such that they will
Correct.
allow you to even deliver this set of feature-related solutions. And then you have to get that set of feature-related solutions right, which usually takes a lot of iteration. Sweet.
Agree.
Well, yeah, I am looking
Cool.
forward to what.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what you come up with in terms of landing pages. And yeah, thank you for sharing. I will yeah, drop that link in the chat, and then I'll put it in the
Yeah, I will do.
show notes there. We are coming up on the
Cool.
hour, but I do want to do like a little rundown of the stuff I found this week. There were a couple of particularly interesting ones, and let me see if I can find it on one of my little thingies here. Should be right here, and then that should still have you guys in it. Okay, and then I'm gonna actually switch again because I'm gonna need to probably pull these in too. So everybody wants to know what is different about Claude Code this week. The burning question, as always, which, let's see, make sure I got that, and then let me grab my meld back up again. I'll be in good shape there. The burning question is, how do we code gen better? So if I were to pull that up too, I'll be in good shape. So we have some interesting stuff in Claude Code. There are a couple of interesting stuff. There is now a .claude/rules folder, which is different from the role that it's playing is a claude.md, and the idea is same context priority as claude.md, but you can do path-specific rules, you can do glob patterns on the rules, you can do subdirectories and symlink stuff. Okay, so you can transmit that across multiple projects, etc. Which, yeah, reads to me basically just like, oh, we added like a second version of the put a claude.md somewhere other than the root folder type of thing. But I guess there is like some utility there. But the main thing that I found, I think release spot, yeah, there we go, is async agents, which I wonder if I can find. Okay, so that's changelog.md. And then if we were to go Claude code async agents and see if that will help us here. Claude now supports async agents. Is a little something. I wish I could find a proper article on that. But I do think that background agent support in directly in CC is interesting, partially because we have a couple of interesting improvements from Cursor as well, who are kind of the big boys in the space. They have version 2.2 as of, looks like today. And what's quite interesting to me is debug mode, in that, so basically the idea with this one here is that it's an async agent. It's going to work somewhat asynchronously while you're working on other stuff. So it seems like a couple players like kind of heading that direction. And then Cursor's version of async is, yes, you can do background agents, But what if you were to put one into debug mode? And what debug mode will do is you describe what the issue is, and then instead of just trying to go and fix it, agent will read through the code base and then generate like several hypotheses about like, okay, this could be the issue, or this could be the issue, or this could be failing, et cetera, et cetera. And then it'll go instrument all of it with like log statements, et cetera. Once it's instrumented, you reproduce it. The agent will just like check the those instrumentation instances that it implemented, and then it'll loop that until the fix is in and verified. So presumably you could use the Claude Code async agent to perform like a multi-step process like this using hooks or something like that. But interesting to me that we are seemingly like starting to maybe trust a little bit more that these things can get stuff done by themselves, which is kind of interest, at least to me. I think the other one, yeah, if you're a Replit user, this one is a good one, I think. Or yeah, there's two big Replit things. One is Replit can do mobile now. So Kev, if you need to revamp anything on your Swift apps, might be worth throwing it at Replit and see what it vibes out for you. They got a database upgrade, which I'm not super familiar with why that would be particularly interesting. But the other interesting part from Replit is that if Lovable has chosen Supabase and Bolt has chosen Neon, then Replit has chosen Google Cloud. So Replit Agent is now going to run on Vertex AI. And then what I have found personally to be particularly useful is that, fun fact, I guess, for those of you who are not familiar, Google AI Studio is directly also integrated with your Google Cloud account. So when you use the deploy button, you will find that the let me see if there's like a build here, and then there's a sure here. Give me something. Why not? So yeah, when you use that deploy button, it'll create a cloud function for you, and it'll deploy your app that way, which I discovered I think this week, and I am finding it particularly useful in that if we were to consider like moving some infra towards GCP, it's really convenient to have all like my buckets and like my Vertex workbench and everything that's already wired up to like this little vibe codey thing. And Replit is also one of my favorite vibe codey things. So I'm expecting that to be something of a big deal. This one is also for you, Kev. Do you still use Visual Studio at all? Like the purple one? If you're still around, of course, I'm not sure. I shall assume he is not around currently. But Visual Studio, so different from VS Code, is more often used for like .NET developers or people working in the Microsoft ecosystem, as far as my understanding goes, of course. But Visual Studio is sort of aggressively integrating with some of the recent GitHub upgrades, in that we have model updates, and then we have, you'll probably notice this going forward over the week. And in fact, I'm interested in what you do notice, if anything. But there's some new actions in Visual Studio, and then there's also, I know at least some search improvements on github.com, but I am going to be keeping an eye out this week for like hover interaction menus that didn't used to be there, because I've seen a couple and they are somewhat interesting. We have some upgrades from Augment's Augie, and then OpenCode has a couple of, they have a couple of somethings. Oh yeah, it was their desktop app, and then their other thing that they did was,
Again, y'all cats know we always play the
was play their music really loud, but they have a permissions manager, which is also something that is part of the codex update this week. So this one is, instead of, hey, permission is blocked and now you have to restart and with dangerously skip permissions in it, it'll just pop this thing up and then they'll do that kind of slick UX thing, which is kind of nice. And then the codex also has a somewhat similar update. Codex exec permissions. I think, I'm not sure if I can find it here. Yes, let's see. Codex CLI. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have the article like at hand for this thing, but if you are a codex user, personally, I am always completely disable the sandbox all the time because it's really annoying. It doesn't do anything. They fixed a couple of vulns, but they have modified their exec policy. So now you can whitelist things that are now approved after you approve thing A. So the approval of things B, C, D, and E they have a prerequisite, which is thing A has been approved this time. So now you can kind of use that sandbox, and if you set it up in advance a little bit, then it could help you deal with permissions a little bit less, which maybe will start making the sandbox a conceptually useful thing. At least for me, I don't consider it to be particularly useful so far. I will touch DevStroll 2, worth checking out. Currently beating DeepSeek 3.2 Especial, if I'm not mistaken. We have the 123B, which is sort of their quencoder contender kind of thing. And they also have free APIs, so check that out. And then they also have their own CLI that is built for it. And then, yeah, we have 72.2 on SWE Bench verified. I have not tried this model yet. I'm actually pretty excited to give it a go. If it's better than GLM, I will be a very, very happy boy. Yes, so Codex, I think we already got that, which is, okay, Codex for linear. Yeah, I don't think they have their major. Do we have a few details? Yeah, just exec policy stuff. I think that's most of what I came up with, but I will leave the rest of it in show notes. And we are over, so I guess I will open it back up to any thoughts.
Just yikes, one thing.
Yeah, what's up?
On the, sorry, I dropped for a second.
Yeah, you're good.
I posted about the Kimi CLI. Has anyone tested it?
I have not tested Kimi CLI. I have been testing I've been testing their coding plan. So I've been testing their models as part of my coding workflow, but I have not tested that CLI specifically. However, I am very interested in a particular feature they have implemented in it.
Which is?
They have something that they refer to as D-mail, which is if you are an anime connoisseur, it is a thing out of Steins Gate. The basic idea being you can have Kimi send like a mail to itself in the past. So you can take a thread that you're currently that is currently 10 messages long.
Active.
Yeah, you can inject a mail at, like, let's say message 4, and then you can either restart at 10 with that message in it now, or you can restart at 4 with that having received the message, which I think to me.
So what's the goal? Is to branch out different version of the same conversation you're having?
The idea would be if the agent has, like, let's say you gave it a task and then it completed the task, but you noticed that about halfway through the task when you were reviewing, it did something like super weird it wasn't supposed to do, and now you can either you can fork from there and have it fix it, or what you can do is, after you notice that weird thing happen, you can send a D-mail that says, hey, please never do this again, and then just continue from where you were at, such that you end up with a thread that you can sort of async figure out things that are wrong with it and then inject prompts that hopefully mitigate that wrong thing from occurring in your existing thread.
Okay, that's interesting. I've used the models, the new ones.
Yeah.
They kind of silently released them, which I thought was interesting. So I'm using this inside Cloud Code. Like I'm not testing all the new stuff. I'm kind of staying with this. But the thing I found interesting is now they have an SDK, right? And they have an SDK to kind of build agents, which I thought they went with a pretty intelligent way of doing it,
Yeah, I found
because
that.
the way you yeah, the way you kind of, they already pre-built most of the tools to work well with their harness. So, for example, the web search is the one they provide you. So you can import it from their SDK. You can import a lot of things from their SDK. And the thing that I found was interesting is the code example they give when you put it all together is like how you could use Kimi as an agent with the SDK to produce like, big four level research papers. There you give it a topic, it will go iterate, and then it will just produce the PDF for you. And it's basically the back end of their researcher mode that you have on their chat, which I thought
Yeah.
was very interesting, and also something that they just released in their docs and no one paid attention to.
Yeah, I found that too, or I found mention of I forget what they called it at the time, but I believe it's this thing now, which is called Kosong, which I at first thought was basically just their version of the Claude Code SDK, but it appears that yeah, it's sort of like a somewhat more versatile back end for kind of how they're approaching, which even if it's not useful from a software perspective necessarily, it may be for some cases, it may not be, but it's interesting in that we get to like sort of see their opinions about how to build like the back end of the LLM abstraction layer. So yeah, I think that is quite interesting.